Hello, Lenawee County. My name is Bryan Vish, and this is Civic Voices. And today, I am joined by Aaron Chesher and Ben Moorman. They are both from Hope in Action, a local grassroots organization here in Adrian, Michigan. Now, it seems like not January, but June 14th was a pivotal moment for you guys, for the entire group as a whole. Mm-hmm. Can you take me through the events of June 14th?
Yeah, you were good at that.
So, we had the No Kings protest over at Comstock, and we were security for that, so we were preparing to go down a little early. And as we drove by, we saw 5 vehicles surrounding one truck with 5 had police lights on, that sort of thing. So we thought it was suspicious. We've been watching for ICE. We've had a lot of misses with ICE, so we were like, okay, we finally found them. Got out of our car, kind of watched the situation, realized, yes, this is probably what's going on. And then they were talking, so they had, the truck was in the front, and they had all the rest of the cars behind them. Most of the agents still in their cars. 3 agents were attempting to figure out in their vehicle, like, what to do with these guys, I guess. So they were on the phone with somebody, and then we were filming from the front. I went around and got pictures of all their plates and all their faces. And then they said, I heard them say, okay, we're going to take them. Do you want to do it one at a time? And then I didn't get the answer, but they got out of the car, and then the one agent went up to the window of the driver and informed him that if he didn't get out of the car, that they were going to smash his windows and drag him out. And the man tried to ask if he could show his papers, and he was told no by the agent, and I got all that on camera. And then I went to the other side of the vehicle to get both of the people, because it took both the men out. And then they wouldn't show a warrant. We asked for a warrant. Her family asked for a warrant. They said, that's not how this works, which is new to me. And then they wouldn't identify themselves. They wouldn't give badge numbers if we were asking for it. His wife showed up, one of the driver's wives showed up, and she was screaming in the most horrible anguish screams I've ever heard. And their daughter ran from their home to come watch and all that. So it was very stressful and highly emotional. And then one of the HSI wearing vest agents, the only one that had anything, he had gotten out of the car and he put his hands on the wife, because she was emotionally distraught and trying to go up to him, and he started shoving on her, and then Aaron was screaming at him to get off of her, that sort of thing. So it was and then we kind of put so much pressure on that one situation that he did leave her alone and didn't further do anything with that. And then they took the 2 men away. APD was across the street. We were very mad at them because we didn't know that they had identified these agents. They didn't tell us that. They just rolled up their window and drove off. So these men just got essentially kidnapped in front of us, and the car was still locked because they had taken the keys with them. So APD had to help them get their truck back because the poor wife and daughter were just left stranded there. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
I can probably ascertain the answer to this next one, but what was the immediate gut level reaction that you guys had seeing this?
Just rage.
Yeah.
And a lot of confusion. There was a lot of safety concerns about the whole thing. I mean, we had always thought about copycats being a thing, and then to actually have it happen in front of us and them straight out say no, we don't have to show you anything, was hard to hear, because in your mind I never really thought that somebody would an agent would say that.
It does seem out of the norm, because you are correct. Mm-hmm. You are supposed to have a warrant. This is part of due process. That's part of our Constitution. So it's kind of the Fourth Amendment, illegal search and seizure. You have to have these things. But so I mean, you mentioned kidnapping as being a word that you could possibly use to describe this. Is there another word that you could use to describe this?
Trafficking. Trafficking.
Just disappearing people.
They don't have due process. They don't have a right to a lawyer if they can't afford one. Like, you can have a lawyer if you can pay for it, but a non-citizen is not given a free lawyer. So these people are essentially being taken when we don't know who is taking them or why. Like, that's, to me, that's a kidnapping.
Yeah, and I think the like most absurd part of them not showing their badge is that we, as a presence there, probably would have backed off a little bit if they showed that they actually had papers, or they showed that they had at least a badge. Like, okay, maybe that's a real badge, but they didn't even give them that. Like, it probably would have been a little bit of crowd control. I don't know to what extent, but
At least less chasing them from our end.
right, yeah.
Now, I know from the meetings that you guys have attended that there was, I believe, what you say, an $8,000 fine that this man was slapped with. Now, there were two men. So this first man that you've mentioned, he got hit with this fine and he's been released at least.
Yep.
What about the second man? What is the state of him right now?
So he is in court right now.
Yep,
Today.
today.
Unfortunately, though, today ICE just issued a memo saying that all bail and bond for anyone they detained is null and void and not going to be a thing anymore. So we have no idea if he's going to actually get out or not. And he's already paid the same amount of money. So
he's already paid the bail,
yes.
and now there is a chance that ICE is going to say, well,
Yes.
we just don't want to let you out.
Yes,
now.
there's currently a young man who's 19 sitting in Baldwin Detention Facility, the second Alligator Alcatraz. And he paid his $4,000 bond. He has a legal sponsor who is a citizen who is responsible for him to come to all ICE things, the normal, typical route that they would do, right? And he's already paid it. He's been there since Tuesday. He has no court date. Not one to see a judge, not to get out.
So, going public the way you guys have, I mean, this is clearly, you guys are taking on a big organization. There's some danger in that. Did you feel any hesitation going forward at all?
No.
No.
We've been the target for a lot of various before, and I don't think that we have a healthy sense of fear anymore.
It's different when it's not towards you
Yeah.
directly, but also people keep saying like, "Oh, you guys are so brave." No, the people surviving this are brave. I think you have to be afraid to feel brave, and I was just pissed. So
Yeah, I don't think that, even looking at the videos and things and like what we have done and like how we have been speaking out and like going where we've gone, every time I'm like, okay, well, I could have done more, and if we hadn't done anything, or if we don't continue to do stuff, I don't know, I could live with myself. So I think we read the right books when we were younger. It really shaped us.
So, what was the first move after June 14th? I mean, obviously, with this being a catalyst for you guys, and I know this is when you guys started stepping up, going to different city and county meetings. What was that first step? Because I know you had been working with public officials.
Immediately talking to the rest of the group for Hope in Action and kind of trying to guide what we knew about the city and like the city officials. We'd been going to meetings for a really long time without kind of like a real reason. It was a hobby at that point, and then getting to know all of our city commissioners and like all of the people who really make the city work, I think was a really good move that we weren't intentionally doing. And then when push came to shove and we needed to kind of go to bat for the city officials to convince the rest of the people that they're not a lost cause, and that, we always hear local government is where the real change happens, and we don't know what anyone can do, but the state feels stuck, so go smaller and see what they can do. And I'm glad that we did that, because seeing everyone in Hope in Action come out and Adrian come out with their hearts on their sleeves instead of yelling at them, I think really made the humanity in the situation come out in a positive way. So.
Yeah.
So can you walk me through a little bit of those initial meetings with those officials? Because I'm curious as to their reaction as you guys were approaching them with this.
Yeah, a lot of tears were happening. I saw when there were like 30 residents ish come to the meeting. They were listening intently. Some of them had heard, others hadn't. I think it caught a lot of the commissioners off guard with how intense it was and kind of the severity of it and learning more of the details. And with every speaker, either it was empathy driven or it was factual, and the more that they learned, it looked like check marks were going off in the commissioner's heads. Like, okay, so that wasn't legal. Okay, that didn't seem legal. Okay, like, oh, now he has a family. Like, all of the things that would make somebody really care about a situation, it felt like it just started like a mountain of emotion for him. And then when he played the video of it all happening and all of the and the woman yelling, trying to like convince the officer to like not take her husband, I think that was a really big breaking point too, for anyone who hadn't seen the video. So not only that, it really got a lot of the public on our side that might not have been. So
Yeah, at least the neutral people.
yeah,
It's hard to hear that and be neutral.
I think I've heard from
Imagine.
6 out of the 7 people that sit up there, commissioners and mayor. I think I've heard from 6 of them, or at least somebody from the group has heard from at least 6 of them about how intense this is and how they want to figure out an avenue, but they seem stuck. That seems to be changing. Things are getting a little looser. There's a little bit more room to pivot, I think.
Well, I would imagine that was kind of what I was going to ask next, but it seems like they're responding, and even privately, in a positive way. I mean, especially seeing as if we look at how our laws are set up right now, illegal border crossing is the same as a jaywalking.
Right.
In terms of how they are handled. Yes, there is a bigger to-do with the immigration and everything else, but it's the same punishment-wise. Do we abduct people off the street for just walking in the wrong spot?
Right.
It just seems like an absurd reaction.
Yeah.
So it is nice to see that there is some positive movement there on the private side, not just publicly, but also on that private end for them to be doing this type of stuff.
Yeah, to have, to say something publicly, I think a lot of people will take it as, okay, you at least said it on the record, but on the flip side of that, privately, for somebody to look you in the eyes and say, no, I care about this, you can feel their heart drop.
Yes.
Confident that they all care.
Absolutely. And so with that in mind, what do you think, what do you wish, rather, the average person, not just here in Lenawee, but broadly, just understood about how power responds to these types of situations?
That if something is happening as bad as this and you put down the facts of things, you just taking even empathy out of it, if you just put everything on the table and say, okay, let's talk about it, I think it gives whoever's in power at least the ability to talk about it. A lot of things to me over the last 3 years going to commission meetings, it seems like if something isn't brought to them either privately or publicly, that they haven't thought about it, or that they almost operate as if their hands are tied. But the more something is brought to them, the more things are laid on the table and said, okay, let's talk about it. Ask me your questions. Show me that you care, and then, we can work together. I think that gives everybody a little bit more confidence to actually do something about it. And that part of, we will stand with the people in power, not just, okay, well, you guys represent us, that means you guys are on the line, saying, no, we will support you and we will work with you, is important to give them the confidence to actually do anything.
Yeah, I think that having like, be civically engaged already. Don't just show up. People do this all the time. They'll show up to meetings mad about, whatever it is, and it's usually fair. But then they come up there, they yell at everybody, they say, oh, we're going to take your seats come November, we're going to be here all the time. They come to maybe one more meeting, and then they just fizzle out, and we never see them again. And that doesn't do the impact that having a conversation does, or building a bond with someone does. Like, we don't, I think all of our city government right now are phenomenal people who are on the right side of this. And that's because I trust them enough because I know them. Because I've given them birthday cards and like dumb adult stuff, right, that other adults love. And it's just to show like the people side of everything, so that when these issues happen for more people, it's not an uphill battle. It's something like, I knew we could go to them. We knew we could go to them and tell them what happened, and that something would happen. So
yeah.
and if they don't, then you can come.
Especially because, we were really new to Hope in Action. I mean, like, it started off with a demonstrate and donate protest. And I had reached out to Allie, talking about, like, if you need anything at all, since she said she was new to the area, to let me know. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go tell this group that it has just been protesting to trust the local government enough to, like, go tell them everything. And I was like, well, either they're going to kick me out of this group and I'm not going to be protesting anymore, or we'll try it. And I'm glad that they trusted me enough to, like, actually do that. I think it's really making an impact.
But I think that is a good strategy, though, because if we look at it kind of like you're playing poker, what you guys just did was you walked up to the table, you threw your cards down and said, I call. And that's a move in poker. That's like the boss move. Like, okay, fine, all in. Let's talk about this.
Oh no.
And so that's kind of how I like, and that to me seems like a good way to approach that, because it makes people react. It makes them go, oh, now I need to think about what's in front of me. Yeah, the poker thing is kind of a colorful thing, but like it illustrates the point.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned reaching to the Lenawee County meeting. You mentioned that you were related to Laura Haviland.
Yeah.
And see, that's also another really good connection here. I mean, that's history and legacy from somebody who was considered a great abolitionist.
Yeah.
So can you elaborate on that relation with Laura?
Yeah, so she is like 4 or 5 greats. I can't do the math immediately, but she, on my dad's mom's side, so my grandma's on my dad's side relative, and there's a direct link for her to be like my aunt. She was my great grandma has a journal that my grandma kept, that she had like written a bunch of notes about a copy of Laura Haviland, one of like the original copies of Laura Haviland's book that we don't have anymore. But she had written a bunch of notes that she had read from the book, and like my grandma was annotating the book, and I thought that was really cute. And I was like, oh,
That's awesome.
yeah, she has that. Yeah, I grew up knowing that I was related to her since I can remember, because of the statue in town.
Yeah.
So when my grandma was raising me, she would try to get me like interested in books or like into the museum or whatever. And she did that by just being like, you're related to that lady. Like, don't forget that. That's important. I'm like, okay. And we would visit her gravesite at the Raisin Valley Friends Church, because we used to go there. And it was really weird to me when people were like, that's important. And I was like, well, why? Like, it's okay, yeah, I guess that's cool that she has a statue. Doesn't everyone have a statue? Okay, I guess not. Like, so the more I learned about her, especially recently, the more it was like, well, the parallels that are happening right now are nuts. So it's like something you have to act on.
Yeah, and that's kind of a really important thing for you, the legacy there. You kind of mentioned it a little bit growing up, seeing a statue of an ancestor of yours. Like, I can imagine that's similar to how a lot of, well, not a lot, but few people feel when they go to, say, Washington or something like that, and they're related to some of the founders. That's the level we're talking here. So do you feel like that's what's driving you a bit? Is this legacy, like this, this is in my blood, I have to do this?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because at the commissioner meeting, I also talked about some of the other research that we found about how Lenawee County and Adrian has always been just so progressive, so ridiculously, radically progressive, and it's really important to keep in mind because it's red everywhere around here, and so conservative in so many places. To have people like the Wide Awake organization have been started here or have a huge chapter here, and then have Laura Haviland be the person, to be the anti-slavery abolitionist she was. It's so important that it was here. And it's weird that it feels like there's been a lot of regression, and then now that all of this is happening, it's the catalyst to it being a big progressive boom to me. I also feel if I didn't do something, again, my conscience would be well, what are you here for then? Because what would she do? And how can you think about your upbringing and how you always looked up to this and her and her legacy, and then you not have acted when she would have? So, yeah.
So, speaking of the abolitionist side of things, we often look at that from the slavery side of things, but that's not necessarily what that specifically means. That they abolish something, and so a lot of us think of it as history, but it really seems more especially the way you're speaking of it, that it's just work that's not finished. So, what do you think that kind of attitude is rooted in?
The attitude that I had, that attitude
in general, the work is unfinished.
Yeah. So I think that I've always felt like that, especially because we're gay, and we have. It's 2015. We were allowed to be married. That's crazy that it's only been 10 years. And even that part, that wasn't the end of it. There's so many rights that aren't being cared about. All the stuff with the trans athletes right now is insane. People can't have hobbies without them having to give their medals back, because they're trans. There's, in my mind, it's always been people should have the same rights as everybody else, and in as a thought, everybody should feel like that. That should be a general, you're a decent person, that's how you feel.
Yeah.
But because we've lived so much of the opposite of that, it's always been okay, well, I'm glad we have this win. What's next? Because there's always a next. And until there's not a next, you keep going. And I don't think I've envisioned a stopping point.
No. I mean, I don't think feasibly there will be one until, the very rooted bigotry and white supremacy and everything that our country was built on, that the world really was built on, will be looked at and actually taken care of like a sickness. I don't think, but it doesn't mean that there isn't hope for everybody. We can get to that point. It's just we'll probably be dead by that point.
It won't be in our lifetimes that we see this. But isn't that what leadership is? You plant the trees whose shade you will never sit in. And so by planting these trees, you carry on Laura's legacy in that light, because she not only did the railroads, but she actually opened the first integrated school in Michigan. Which was huge. They taught, black students, female students. They didn't care. Everybody was taught together.
Right.
She knew even that wasn't the end, that the work was unfinished.
Right.
And so if Laura was alive today, what do you think she would say about Lenawee?
I think she would be proud of instances, but I think that she would say, like, you know, okay, so it's still unfinished. Like, keep going. Because there's not a clear, well, this is how we feel about this. You know, this is how we feel about ICE. The mass majority, I think, should be proud of the people that are doing what they're doing. And I think that she'd be very encouraging about, like, it's not over. During one of the protests, I had one of the older protesters come up to me and say, like, it's really great to see a lot of young people here. Buckle down, like, you know, we're here for the long haul. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, Vietnam was 8 years of protesting. And I was like, that's a lot. Like, I'm for it. I've been to every single one I can and doing everything I can, but, like, that's a lot, you know? And to just see, I kind of think of, like, her as I think of, like, the older protesters who are like, we've been doing this. This isn't over. I thought it would be done when we were done with that one. And it's not. And I'm still here, and I'm tired of it. So that's kind of how I feel she would be thinking about it, too.
Absolutely. Should be having some good workarounds, though, I think.
Some good thoughts, some good ideas, yeah. The strategies that can help out. Yes.
I've definitely been reading a lot about what she's been doing recently.
Find that diary. Find that diary.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what part of her resistance do you see most reflected in Hope in Action?
Her attitude.
Yeah, her resistance, her attitude. What part do you see reflected the most in Hope in Action?
Yeah, I think that, like, her attitude and her, like, overall, like, resounding like, what she stuck to. Like, she didn't waver at all. Was very confident in herself. And
fear neither your weapons nor your threats.
yeah, she just the fact that she would just, like, talk to men who could absolutely hurt or kill her. They had bounties on her so high that they could kill her in a second. They would be rich, and she would just look them in the eyes and be like, I don't care, I don't fear you or your weapons, do it. And they were just like,
yeah, I think of,
I can't. Like,
they wrote, one of the slave owners wrote that he was going to do horrible things to the female slaves and then name the children after her children as, like, a demoralizer. And she said, let them be like Moses and bring my children home. And I was like, oh my God, like,
yeah.
Goosebumps. Like, but yeah, I think that, like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
This is wrong, and I know it's wrong, and you know it's wrong, and do something.
Yeah.
Or try me, because it's not the person. Like, she could have been killed, but that movement's happened. It's happening, and it's happening here too. We could get put in federal, and it's still gonna happen. So
yeah, that's a really good point. That's her convictions, and then her, like, lack of self-preservation. Just, like, she cared about herself, she cared about her family, but she just was so, like, understanding of the greater, like, good and the greater consequence and everything that would happen if she didn't do what she was doing. And a lot of people, like, were against her, and a lot of people were like, well, you're blowing this out of proportion. She's like, I am not. Like, right. There's no other proportion here. And I think that Hope in Action really, really does a lot to embody that. Especially the, like, what are you going to do if I keep protesting? Like, try me. Like, it's great.
Organizing, too, like, going to the city, making, like, Charles Croswell was part of the group that made the Republican Party on July 6th of 1854, maybe. The year. But it's like, these people that lived here had such a tremendous... I mean, Thomas M. Cooley is the person who's written out what due process is, that we still should be using as, like, everything. His office right there. So, and Fernando Beeman, I don't want to miss him, he's amazing. But, like, these people got the 13th Amendment ratified. They got the 14th and the 15th. Like, they lived here, they were from here. They worked starting here locally, and that's, I think, what we're seeing. I mean, we're not making Adrian, but we're making change in Adrian because of those same kinds of ideas, and, like, having a network of people, I need help with this. One person will reply, like, okay, I can take care of it, no big deal, or whatever. Having those chains of people where it's like I have people I can rely on for this for other people. Like it's not for me. I'm not like, oh, my car sucks. Can you come pick me up?
Yeah, it's
No.
it's like it's firing on all cylinders, like at all times, and it's really like something that burns out, but it's too important to burn out, I think.
But I like that because you guys have brought up the historical, like Michigan has played a huge role in, like you said, the 13th and 14th Amendments. But Michigan's led the way in a lot of places, and that include, extending to Laura's kind of, legacy, the labor movement. And thinking about how she stood up, well, the Flint strike was led by a similar faction. They were led by a group of women who literally stared down shotguns and said, do it. Like, it seems like Michigan, and in particular Michigan women, you don't mess with a Michigan woman. Because we don't play around, and we're not afraid. And because of that, we've touched on it a little bit, the speaking out being dangerous. Laura had, bounties on her head. We haven't seen it yet, but there's always that risk of protesters being rounded up as well.
Right.
What keeps you going with that in mind?
Spite.
Right. Spite gets you going. Well, because like we're already on the chopping block. We're not in front this time, but we're definitely in line already. I think that if we weren't in a minority, it might feel a little different, but like also maybe not. We just like have always been threatened because we're both trans too. So like, and it's being visible is always something that has been dangerous. And we've gotten death threats in Adrian before. And they can even be credible, and they don't really bother us anymore because what do you just like what? Okay, you either do it or you don't, and either way, I have to keep functioning because until the world stops turning, I'm gonna act as if it's not going to, or that it will keep going. So, and if we sit in our house and live in fear, then what does that actually amount to? Like, what life is that? And who does that help? Because it still doesn't help us.
No, it's other people are in danger, and that's the only thing that matters. Like, it's easy to give everything for someone else, even if I don't know them. Like, I'm a veteran. I was more than willing to die for my country for strangers I don't know, and I still feel that way. And now it's just, where's the enemy at? It's not being gaslit into believing it's a different country than who attacked us, but it's right here. It's white supremacy, it's fascism, it's everything that's happening to our neighbors. Like, and I hate meeting people because this has happened, but like, how many people actually know the Hispanic people in this county? How many people, like 21.3% of the city are Hispanic or Latino. I only know like 7 people prior to this. So like, we don't know our neighbors because we had them come here to work. We still treat it like, oh, thank you for your food and your culture. That's fun for me, like once a year, right? And then like doing all the laborious jobs that nobody wants to do. Now go live in Sunnyside and we'll see you later, right? And it's just, it's not about race. It's not about anything. Like, obviously we're not like, oh, we don't see color on that. Right? Sorry, stuff.
I can bleep that. I can bleep that.
I will do better. But it's that easy. I don't know. It's just to be an American, to be a human being. It's not. It should be that. It's that easy.
Yeah.
Has any of this changed what you think resistance looks like, or has it reshaped what you think resistance looks like?
I think it's about as scrappy as I always thought it was going to be, like firing at all cylinders at all times. And then kind of like double checking things. I think more than originally, I would assume. Double checking what you say to people, like, and make sure you're really being understood, and make sure that you're really coming across how you want to. Because you don't want like anyone who opposes you to get the wrong idea of what you think, but you also don't want anyone who's on your side to think that you're any less on their side. And communication is so much more important than I would have assumed, especially because most of the people that are involved in all this stuff are adults, and we live in an age that is like everyone is thinking about everything at the same time. So we're either going to keep spinning wheels because we're all thinking the same thing at the same time, but we can't communicate it, or we're not, and that's worse, you know? Yeah. So I think it's a lot more communication, and it's a lot more like compromise than I would have thought. I am comfortable with both, so I'm okay with it. But it's also like a lot of like emotional stability, like internally.
Yeah, like it's the good fight, right? Don't get me wrong, we're all ready to yell and debate and fight, but it's way more empathy, like to convey that, to bring other people's plights into it and make it everyone cares about the situation. Like there's a mother right now, we don't know her name. She's been taken from Sand Creek Apartments. She was outside watching her children ride their brand new bicycles, their 2 little girls, and holding her 6-month-old baby. They were all taken by ICE on Monday night. We don't know why. We don't know their names. No one knows their names because no one knows their neighbor. And they where are the children? Because there's no way they're keeping them together. There's no way that they're keeping
kids in an adult facility.
Where's the baby? Yeah. Who is providing childcare? Is this baby a citizen? 6 months old? We don't know anything about her. And who can stomach that? Who can stomach knowing that there's a mother crying right now because she doesn't know where her children are? I don't want to cry for that too much. But I think that bringing that story forward and showing people because we think about it as immigration, it's a word, it's not a person, or it is, and it's the brown guy down there, or whatever, that you can kind of still hate for some reason, but how do you hate a baby? How do you hate a mom crying for her child? Yeah. So where are they?
The other thing that resistance really is different than what I thought, is that there, in my mind, I think I always was worried that people, if something happened, people weren't going to stand up, that things would just fall how they would and be complicit in things. And I knew I wouldn't, because that was how I shaped myself, but I was worried that nobody else would be able to. Life happens and people can't do things sometimes. And I'm a very empathetic person, so I was always very understanding. If this would happen, this just made sense. But we've asked some big favors from a lot of people that I didn't think that they would be able to, and they have, without a second thought. It's that gives me a lot of hope. But yeah.
So in this moment, given everything that we know has happened, knowing that we're very limited in what we can do and what the people around us are even able to do, what does justice look like in this moment for you guys? How do we get that balance back?
Freedom, due process. Show me up, sign a federal warrant, make the rules again.
Yep.
Wear identifiable clothes. It's not about, them putting on a uniform isn't going to stop them from doing what they are doing, but it's going to stop a lot of the fear. I have to drive around town suspicious of any car I see that has an out-of-town license plate because they are using random cars from Ohio or Oklahoma or etc. And, they're driving around with cars that have expired registration tags or license plates peeling off. How is that you are going to pull someone over for talking on the phone, right, and then take 6 members of their family? Yeah. But your car is not insured. Your car is not registered. There's just no. They don't care. It's so blatantly obvious that it's rude at this point to not do the rules. Follow the rules then. If it's this big of a deal to take somebody, fine. Say you don't need a federal warrant in public anymore, or they don't get bail or bond due to a memo. These are memos. They're not laws. That's not the law. And to disrespect everything that was built into the legal system, that to me is what needs to change. That justice needs to be freeing the 47-year-old man that was taken from 7-Eleven on Tuesday. He was going to work. Every single person that has been taken from Lenawee County has had a valid work visa that we're aware of, minus the people whose names we don't know. But why don't we know their names? Why can't the chief get a phone call back when he calls ICE's PR.
Yeah, that's the other thing is that it's the stability. I think like justice really would look like stability, like having an actual chain of command that works, like being able to go to our police chief and say, where is this person, and for him to call and actually get a response. Like that is terrifying to me that he can't get a call back most of the time from these people. And I get it, they're the federal government, they are still in the chain of command.
So that's kind of irrelevant to the federal government versus the city government. The city government is just the lower part of that chain.
Right.
You still communicate.
Yeah.
So that is very concerning that even the police chief cannot get a response from
so much money. Can they not answer the phone?
Right. And that and then like so the stability of that, and then like he was saying, like having real like rules and like laws that actually make sense and continue and are consistent. Freedom. Because if they're not, like what are we doing here? And the stability of the laws would feel like freedom, like having all these people, because right now, as far as we know, all of the people that were taken would still be here because they all at least had a visa of some kind. Like
I've seen most of their visas, like their loved ones give them to me and go, why did they take it?
And I don't
know.
Yeah,
because it's valid till 2029, 2032, etc. Or their legal permanent status, or are naturalized citizens. Yeah. So the only difference between that and me is the lottery of where I was born. So why on earth are you taking these people? It is based on skin color. It is based on language. And it is truly only that. Yeah,
and specifically, like, having those things in place because, like, what stops them from taking the people who were born here and, like, having a consequence for that? They took, when I went to the Baldwin Detention Center the other day, they had somebody, I was talking to somebody, and she said that a relative of who she was visiting was picked up and detained for like a day or two, and he was born in Texas. And like, he was born in Texas. He didn't need anything. They said, well, okay, well, you don't have your papers. He said, I shouldn't need to because I don't have them because I was born here. Like,
they have no legal authority over a citizen, so they should not be taking anyone. And then also, it's the misdemeanor isn't not having documentation living here. It's not being able to provide one to an ICE agent. So when you are denying them the ability to show you that visa, you're forcing them to commit the infraction. Like, if he has a valid work visa, they should go on with their day. But instead you said, no, that's not how this works, and then took him off to a detention facility near Canada. Like, what is happening?
I just want them to play by the rules. Like, and then that would be...
let these people have their money back.
Right.
Have, like, restitution for the lost wages. If the first man had not been freed on the timeline by which he was only in there for 3 weeks. Most people are there at this point 7 to 9 months. His wife would be dead because she would not have insurance to do her dialysis, and she's the most lovely person. And it shouldn't even matter, like, right? Someone could be the biggest jerk in the planet, but that's the law. That is that everyone is equal in this country. That you have created a system from the founding fathers, okay, for all the people where that's the only thing that matters. If that was most important, this would not be happening. And like, it stresses me out.
So it's almost like to kind of play off of Laura's Moses comment. It's almost like staring at the Pharaoh and saying, "Let my people go." It's like you're not asking, you're demanding.
Absolutely.
And so, with kind of like the thematic of the story in mind, with Laura's kind of tale in mind, if your story were to be written down, down the line, what lessons would you hope that someone would be able to glean or take from that story?
Don't wait for permission to do what's right, because you don't need it. And as soon as you are willing to give someone the power of saying no to your conscience, you're at lost cause. You can't wait, because it might never come. I mean, why would they give us permission? And so that would be the main theme.
How about for you, Ben?
That's stressful. Let's see.
Don't make history if you don't want your story written down.
I very much want that written down. I think that your goal should be that someday someone will write about you, and you better have a lot of good behind that. Otherwise, what is the point of you being here? My great uncle, it's Mark Twain. So like, it's weird, right? Like the great uncle.
I got Laura Haviland and I got Mark Twain here. Like,
Yeah.
No, I was like, that's so weird. What a weird, like, fate.
Well, to add a little bit of weirdness to this, my mom's side of the family is Audette. That's the name. That is French Canadian and is one of the founders of Quebec.
Oh.
So there we go. It's history all around right now.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So yes, but as we're looking at this situation, though, do you guys have any final thoughts on what you guys are doing, what you guys are planning to do? Obviously you guys are monitoring to do the legal observance of ICE to make sure you're documenting these things.
Yeah.
What else do you think people can do? How else can they get involved?
People can write letters as concerned community members for the people that have been detained. So if you want to do that, contact Hope in Action on their Facebook or email, which I don't have off the top of my head, but Google it, you'll be fine. But you can write letters as a concerned person or as a witness or etc. And that is what freed the first man. So we wrote 6 letters. His court date was supposed to be still in August, and it was moved to July 2nd. He was freed. No charges, mind you, $8,000 in bond. He still might get deported though. He still has to wait for that. And it said that his court appearance took 5 minutes because of all these letters. But also, most people don't have legal representation because he already had it because he was already going through the process by which he was being cleared to apply for citizenship. So if in October of 2024, he was told, "You're good, dude, no worries. Keep checking in with us every Monday." And then he was taken. So most people don't have a lawyer, or they're being told by the very few lawyers that there are that they are a lost cause. So we went to Baldwin, a detention facility, escorting somebody, and we were fortunate enough to be able to actually see this place. And there's only 75-ish people in the lower section right now, but it's built for 1,800 people. There are people in there from France, Albania, Peru, Brazil, El Salvador, Ecuador, Honduras, etc. 4 people in there can speak English. Of the detainees, there are 2 bilingual officers for the whole facility, and they only speak Spanish. So you're from Brazil, you speak Portuguese. France, I don't know what it so it's only French, etc. But like these people don't even know what their papers are saying when they get them to be told they're being deported. And the only times they can be given personal clothing and stuff is when they're being deported. So they don't know until their loved one shows up with a suitcase that they are being sent away. And most of the time, that's the only time they see their family, and then they're gone because everyone's about 3-ish hours living-wise away from this facility. So they're purposely isolating people, making it difficult to come up there. They have an unposted dress code. Our friend wouldn't have been able to see her loved one if somebody else didn't have shoes from the last time, because they didn't they had to go buy shoes, because open-toed shoes are a problem at the concentration camp apparently. Same with shorts. But so they don't have any means to get bail, to get assistance to get out. They're depressed. If they ask to self-deport, which, shit, if I went, well, not me, but somebody were to go up to them and say, "Can I self-deport now?" You get, $1,000 and a plane ticket home. But if you ask while you're in the facility, they tell you no, and then they make you wait longer. Why? And they're not able to, do anything. They don't have, jobs for them to keep busy or learn skills. It feels like prison instead of jail. And it's the most horrific thing on the planet that I've ever seen, that you've ever seen.
So, specific asks, so the Dominican sisters are doing a lot in their legal immigration department. They could always use volunteers. Any organizations that have some change to spare, donating for bond, or gas to get people up there and things like that. Contacting Hope in Action for that second one for the donating to the bond, that would be a really, really good idea. They already know that people are going to be contacting them for the donations. So anything like that. Any resources that you would need or think somebody could use, go to the Adrian District Library. They have a ton of them. And then Sarah Nash is the head of the Legal Immigration Department now at Siena Heights as of July 1st. I talked with her yesterday. She said that if anyone needs, her contact information or whatnot, or if they need any resources, to give them a call. I can give you her info. And then if I'm forgetting anything, then you can add Ben or I on Facebook and contact us for anything. I'll always provide my email and phone number. So.
And I will put on the screen for everybody the phone numbers, the emails, the Facebook links, so that way you can see where it is you can get involved if you too would like to help out with Hope in Action. Ben, Aaron, thank you guys for sitting down with me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me, Lenawee. We'll see you next time.